Imagine the moment your stomach stops growling and screaming. Hunger becomes more than pain. It becomes a voice that whispers, "One more day. Just one more day." What would you do when food is gone, rescue isn't coming, and death is already among you? History has answers. They are not easy to hear. The Donner Party, Sierra Nevada, winter, 1846-47. The 87 pioneers headed for a better life in California. They took a shortcut that trapped them in deep snow, high in the mountains. Oxen died, horses died, leather shoes were boiled and chewed. As weeks turned into months, people began to die from cold and starvation. The survivors faced the choice no one wants to face. They started eating the bodies of the dead. Some groups refused at first, others had no choice. In one desperate party that tried to hike out for help, called the Forlorn Hope, 2 Native American guides who refused to eat human flesh were shot and consumed. Of the original 87, only 48 survived. Rescuers later found one man, Louis Keseberg, cooking the lungs and liver of a woman named Tamsin Donner. Rumors swirled that he had done far worse than eat the already dead. The survivors carried the shame for the rest of their lives. One young girl later admitted through tears, "I could not help it. I was afraid to die." The whale ship Essex, Pacific Ocean, 1820. A massive sperm whale rammed and sank their ship in the middle of nowhere. 20 men escaped in 3 small open boats with almost nothing. Weeks passed. They ran out of food. They drank their own urine. They ate scraps of seabirds. Starvation turned desperate. In one boat, the crew drew lots. A young man named Owen Coffin lost. His own cousin, the captain, had to shoot him. They ate his flesh to keep going. 8 men eventually survived after 90 days at sea. The story shocked the world, and later inspired Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, the Andes, 1972. A plane carrying a rugby team crashes high in the frozen Andes Mountains. 45 people on board. Rescue searches are called off. The world believes they are dead. In the thin, freezing air, starvation hits fast. After a few days with almost no food, one survivor picks up a shard of broken glass and begins slicing flesh from the body of a dead comrade. They started with those who died in the crash. Later, they had no choice but to eat their friends and teammates. 16 walked out alive after 72 days. They justified it with raw logic. The bodies are just meat now. The soul has left. If we don't use them, we all die. Some never spoke of it again. Others said it was the most rational decision they ever made. The Franklin Expedition, Arctic, 1845-48. Sir John Franklin and 129 men set out to find the Northwest Passage. Their ships became trapped in ice. Supplies ran out. Scurvy and lead poisoning from tinned food weakened them. The men abandoned the ships and tried to walk south. Inuit witnesses later told searchers they found bodies with flesh cut away, as if someone had been harvesting meat. Cut marks on bones recovered years later confirmed it. The survivors had resorted to cannibalism in their final desperate march. No one made it out alive. Jamestown Colony, the starving time. Winter 1600. Early English settlers in Virginia faced a brutal winter. Food ran out completely. Colonists ate cats, rats, dogs, then boiled shoes and belts. When those were gone, they turned to the dead. Archaeologists later found the remains of a 14-year-old girl nicknamed Jane. Her skull had been cracked open and her brain removed. Cut marks on her bones showed clear evidence of cannibalism. One settler wrote that people dug up graves and even licked blood from the weak. 80% of the colony died that winter. The Mignonette Shipwreck, 1884. 4 men adrift in a small lifeboat after their yacht sank. They had almost no food or water. After days of suffering, the captain and mate decided the youngest and weakest, 17-year-old cabin boy Richard Parker, had to die so the others could live. They killed him, drank his blood, and ate his flesh. The 3 survivors were rescued days later. Back in England, they were put on trial for murder. The famous case, Regina v. Dudley and Stevens, asked a question the law still wrestles with. Can you kill one innocent person to save many? The court said no. Necessity is not a defense for murder. Yet the public was divided. Many sailors quietly called it the custom of the sea. These weren't monsters or villains. They were soldiers, pioneers, athletes, sailors, fathers, sons, and daughters. They didn't wake up wanting to do the unthinkable. They were driven there by weeks or months with no food, no hope, and death closing in. Some chose to die rather than cross the line. Others crossed it and lived with the guilt forever. The worst thing humans did to survive wasn't just eating the dead. It was looking at another human being, a friend, a stranger, a child, and seeing only meat. It was deciding that one life was worth less than the rest. It was learning how quickly civilization can vanish when the next meal is uncertain. So ask yourself, honestly, quietly, if you were snowbound for months with your family, if your plane crashed and rescue never came, if your ship sank and you were adrift for weeks, would you eat to live? Would you let others eat? Or would you hold on to your humanity until the very end? History doesn't give easy answers. It only shows us how thin the line really is between person and meat, between us and survival at any cost. Title card on screen. The worst thing humans did to survive. What would you do? Comment below with the story that shocked you the most.